So Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira is official and will be on the UFC 266 card on September the 4th, and I can't wait for this title bout. These are my favourite title fight matchups that we can have. I know we've got Usman versus Masvidal 2 coming up soon, but I really do prefer when the real number one contender gets a shot against a champion. Great matchup. Glover Teixeira is the clear number one contender. I am so glad that Jan Blachowicz is giving Glover Teixeira his shot, because he could easily say, no, I want this and I want to try and move up and get a super fight. I'm very glad that there is some order restored, because if Israel Adesanya won instead of Jan Blachowicz, I don't know if Glover Teixeira would be getting his title shot right now. He'd probably have to take on Alexander Rakic in the meantime, which would just be terrible for Glover Teixeira. Really risky matchup. He's grinded his way back to this point so many times, and now he's finally got his chance at the title shots against Jan Blachowicz, and I think he's going to get KO'd. But me saying that worries me to my core, and I need that to be very clear here. I have always picked against Jan Blachowicz, and I do believe that by everyone picking against Jan Blachowicz, it does fuel him in some way to go out there and defeat the odds and get the job done over Israel Adesanya, over Dominic Reyes, over Corey Anderson, all of these people that were supposed to beat him and have beaten him before, like Corey Anderson. Jan Blachowicz defies the odds, goes out there, legendary Polish skill and power on full display, and destroys them. I don't want to jinx it by actually picking Jan Blachowicz to win, because I do believe he's going to go out there, get the KO over Glover Teixeira. I think he's just hitting at a different frequency right now in his career. He's looking real technical. He looked amazing against Israel Adesanya. Really out-technically struck Israel Adesanya in those early 3 rounds, in my opinion. Like, really looked good, outlanded Israel Adesanya, especially to the face as well, with some good shots, great body kicks, showed good patience, showed the ability to go 5 rounds as well. I know it wasn't a crazy pace or anything like that, but still, he went 5 rounds with a guy from a lower weight class, and that just says all it needs to say, really. I mean, he used the takedowns in the later rounds. He's really rounding out his game, and I think he's at the peak of his career. Same maybe with Glover Teixeira. I'm still going to pick Jan Blachowicz to KO him in the first round, in my opinion. At the end of the first round, I think there's going to be a separation from a clinch, and Jan Blachowicz is going to catch Glover Teixeira, because Glover Teixeira got caught by that same situation against Thiago Santos. Now, we do know that Thiago Santos, in hindsight, was the ligamentless Thiago Santos that we saw against Alexander Rakic. Can't really close distance the same way. He can't lunge himself across the cage or do any of the crazy things that he used to be able to do with the head kicks and the spinning moves without his ligaments in his knee since that John Jones fight. So maybe that does take a bit of steam away from Glover Teixeira after watching Santos's timid performance against Alexander Rakic. However, I still believe he's got a really good chance to win. Glover Teixeira could go out there, secure himself a takedown in the right situation, get Jan Blachowicz on the canvas, and just not let him up for the rest of the round and maybe secure a rear naked choke. Glover Teixeira is a legit threat to the title, and this is a real legit title defense. I know Dana White is terrified of the fact that Glover Teixeira might become the champion, because if Glover Teixeira becomes the champ, it's going to look really bad for the UFC when the Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix plays out. And maybe, you know, what's his name? Rumble Johnson, who beat Glover Teixeira, maybe he loses in the Grand Prix to like a Vadim Nemkov or even a Yoel Romero. It really wouldn't look good to have Glover Teixeira as champion in terms of how we look compared to the other promotions in terms of the UFC's point of view. So I know that Dana White is really pulling for Jan Blachowicz to get this one done. I believe he will get this one done. There's something to be said about this being made in September as well. I think that really does not benefit Glover Teixeira at this point. He is the older guy here that is kind of hanging on, and he's only got one more chance, and now he's going to have to wait for 10 months since his last bout to get his title shot. Really unfortunate for Glover Teixeira, but good for Jan Blachowicz. He gets a good time to prepare. He's just used his grappling against Israel Adesanya. The fight before that, it was more of a striking match with him and Dominic Reyes, but the fight before that with Corey Anderson, he showed improvements. He showed that Corey can't really get a clean shot off on him or anything like that, and I feel like with Glover Teixeira, he's kind of just a situational-based fighter. He has got good grappling, but if he doesn't get it in the perfect moments when a guy's overswinging a shot, it doesn't seem to be too effective. I watched his Ion Cutelaba fight the other day, and I watched Ion Cutelaba stuff 7 out of 7 takedowns against Glover Teixeira. The only reason that Cutelaba ended up on the ground in that fight was he threw a front kick, he slipped, winded himself on his back, and then Glover Teixeira got on top. Other than that, Glover Teixeira was not able to get Ion Cutelaba to the ground. I like Glover Teixeira. I just think if Jan Blachowicz stays patient, which is something that he has, shown that he can do against guys like Israel Adesanya recently. I think he will find that shot on Glover Teixeira and put him away. Not to mention, it's just not good momentum for Glover Teixeira. Jan Blachowicz took 0 damage against Dominic Reyes. He took basically no damage against Israel Adesanya either when you consider like a title fight in the UFC. He could have got KO'd, could have got concussed multiple times, could have got wobbled, could have got his nose broken. Anything could have happened. Jan Blachowicz didn't really take too much damage in those bouts. Glover Teixeira is still taking tremendous damage with these wins that he's getting. Thiago Santos dropped him twice, had him really badly hurt in that fight a couple of times, and that wasn't a good look. And then that's just an extra little bit of damage to add on to Glover Teixeira's career. Then before that as well, he had not an easy fight against Anthony Smith. I know he won that fight in the end and had a really good performance as the fight went on, but Anthony Smith was doing really well in that first round, landing a bunch of good shots on Glover Teixeira. That's a lot of damage for him to take. Nikita Krylov fight, very close. He ended up getting 1 takedown against Nikita Krylov over the 3 rounds, but he also won some positions where Krylov was going for a takedown and he was able to reverse him. I just feel like Jan Blachowicz is too good at grappling to be taken down by Glover Teixeira. And I don't want to just jinx that and Glover to go out there and do what he does best and just smother Jan Blachowicz. But, like, Nikita Krylov is a guy that Jan Blachowicz finished. You know what I mean? With, like, the weird rear naked choke from the side kind of situation. Like, Jan Blachowicz finished Nikita Krylov, and Nikita Krylov went and really tooth and nail to a split decision with Glover Teixeira. I thought Glover Teixeira won the fight, but still it was a split decision. Very close fight indeed. Ion Cutelaba stuffing his takedown 7 times. I feel like Jan Blachowicz is going to be able to stuff him. We've seen him do that against Luke Rockhold, Jacare Souza. I know Glover Teixeira is a bigger guy, and he's going to be a little bit more muscled up, and he's also a more experienced light heavyweight as well. That was Luke Rockhold's debut in the light heavyweight division. Same situation with Jacare Souza. I just really trust Jan Blachowicz to be able to defend the takedowns, land the big shots where he needs to, and I think he's going to catch Glover Teixeira at the end of the first round. But I'm just glad that Glover's getting his title shot. Like, I'm glad that he's going to make a large sum of money. I assume he's going to get something like 500,000 to show or something like that. Like a good chunk in his savings after this, after all of his career that he's been through. He gets 1 more attempt. It'd be nice for him to go out after this if he does in fact lose. But if he does win, I don't know what Glover Teixeira is going to do. Is he going to start defending the belt at 42 years of age when he turns 42 in October this year? This fight's set for September. Jan Blachowicz is really pushing out the time in which Glover has to wait to get his title shot, which is again going to favour Jan Blachowicz. Glover's been so active throughout his entire career, especially recently as well, so this will be, I believe, I'm just going to say it blindly, someone can check it, I'm sure, at least over the past 5 years, this will be the biggest layoff Glover Teixeira has had, and he's the oldest he's ever been as well, so I just feel like there's a lot of favours that don't benefit Glover Teixeira in this matchup. I think the legendary Polish Bar will reign supreme. He will catch Glover Teixeira on the chin. And after this one, light heavyweight division's off to the races because we've got Jiri Prochaska versus Dominic Reyes coming up soon. I'm going to do predictions for that in a couple of weeks because that's the first card in May. So that's around the corner, coming up soon. Winner of that one, I believe, should take on Alexander Rakic. I actually have an entire card built at UFC 266 where Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira is taking place on September the 4th. I'm going to tell you it right now, I feel like, because Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira has been announced as added to UFC 266. It has not been announced as a headliner like things that our headliners are announced as. They're announced as the headliner of the card. This will be the headliner. This one has been announced as on that card. I doubt they're going to have that one main event a pay-per-view if they want buyers and want people to pay for it. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good fight for the hardcores, however, doesn't really bring in that casual fan base, you know what I mean, that the UFC is always looking for. So I feel like the entire card should be, top to bottom, Francis Ngannou versus John Jones, main event, Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira, co-main event, Marvin Vettori versus Costa Cannonier or Brunson, any of those matchups in the middleweight division in the feature fight of the card, or maybe Marvin can go on the Israel Adesanya card in August. I think that's when they're going to do Adesanya versus the Whittaker-Gastelum 2 winner, or the Whittaker-Gastelum winner, sorry, it's been rescheduled, it's not the same fight again, but Adesanya versus the Whittaker-Gastelum winner in August. Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega on that card as well. Maybe we can put Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena on the 266 card and put Marvin Vettori on the 265 card with Adesanya in case anything goes wrong. I'm just going to change that right now. I guess we can delay Nunes versus Pena until much later on in the year while we try and figure out who the next contender is going to be at bantamweight. I'm sure Holly Holm will have her fucking 50th title shot. Whatever. Even still, Nunes versus Juliana Pena on the card. That's 3 title fights. Amazing card overall. Islam Makhachev versus Ferguson Dariush winner, I think should also be on the card. Alexander Rakic versus the Reyes Prochaska winner should also be on that card. Then Daniel Rodriguez, James Krause, Julian Marquez, Marc-Andre Barriault or Trevin Giles. Jack Shaw versus Rani Yahya. Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus Matthew Semmelsberger. Alonzo Menifield versus Mikhail Alexeychuk. Jillian Robertson versus Molly McCann. Masad Bektic versus Gavin Tucker. Emily Whitmire versus Cheyenne Baez, and Modestas Pekauskas versus Fabio Charant should all be on that card. And I think that's absolutely done. You don't need to add anything else. It's perfect. I've just made the entire card for you. That's what should take place next. But great fight, Blachowicz versus Teixeira. 2 old guys going at it. I don't see Jan Blachowicz losing that belt anytime soon. And if he beats the winner of Reyes Prochaska that beats Rakic, or Rakic beats them, if he beats the winner of that semi-final sort of matchup that we're still waiting for the quarterfinals to take place for, then I don't see who's going to beat him in the light heavyweight division. And I did not think I'd be saying this a couple of years ago, I tell you. Like, before he beat Corey Anderson, this was the furthest thing from my mind. Like, there was, after the Jacare Souza performance, I mean, don't get me wrong, he stuffed all the takedowns, showed that he can't be taken down anymore, showed real improvements in his grappling. But after, like, that performance, I was like, I don't know if he's going to go on and dominate the division and beat Israel Adesanya, but Jan Blachowicz keeps proving everyone wrong, and he's really found his groove. Now he's more confident in his stand-up. I think it's coming together more nicely. And now that he's really worked on his grappling, he doesn't have to worry about it as much. So I just feel like he's a much more cerebral fighter on the feet. We saw before in Jan Blachowicz's career, he'd sort of rush forward on the feet because he'd be like, this is my time. I'm on the feet with this person. They're going to take me down soon, so I'm going to try and make the most of it. Now that he's worked on his grappling, you can see him more patient on the feet. Glover Teixeira is not sort of a guy that gets his first shot either. Normally with the takedowns, like, he's a bit more of a grinder. He'll take you down, you'll stuff it, and then he'll try and go for another one as you're trying to scramble out of it and get good timing there. I feel like trying to smother Jan Blachowicz against a cage is a one-way ticket to the fucking Polish Express right on your fucking chin. And I think that's what's going to happen in this bout. Jan Blachowicz first round KO. Light heavyweight division, I guess this is it moving forwards. I actually like Reyes Prochaska. The winner of that one should definitely take on Alexander Rakic. Then we should do the defense, Jan Blachowicz versus the winner of that one. And then we'll work towards, I don't even know, Teixeira might win. Teixeira has a good chance of winning. Don't see it happening, but he has a good chance of winning. And then after that, down the line, once we've cleared out those few contenders, or those contenders have won the belt or something, I guess we can move on to looking at heavyweight moves, or Adesanya if he's still the champion at middleweight, which I kind of assume he will be by then. Who knows though, maybe someone gets a win over him, we'll see. But if Adesanya wants to try and move back up, it'll be even cooler storyline-wise if Jan Blachowicz is still the champion in the light heavyweight division and Adesanya tries to go back up again to take on the same guy who handed him his first defeat. You know how the promos are going to go. I just like the look of this fight. I'm so glad it got made, because Rakic was calling for his title shot. You ain't fucking leapfrogging Teixeira, okay? Not while Jan Blachowicz is the champ, okay? Glover Teixeira earned his title shot. He's getting his title shot. I'm happy for him. Now Rakic can suffer the fate of the winner of Reyes Prochaska. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. Toodle pip.